welcome you to part 2 of the Urantia book, A Remarkable Step Closer to Our Present Life Status. It is a deep departure from the grand universe of part 1. We now go local. By several orders of magnitude, we look at the nature of the smallest of universes. We look at our local universe. Welcome home. Welcome to your home. For the local universe is indeed one place we will regard as home throughout eternity. We will always recognize this place as the place where we grew up, from animal through all phases of Urantia's soul to the status of a fledgling spirit. While we cannot imagine the height or depth of this truly, we can begin to appreciate the truth of where we are living and thereby more fully grow up to our full stature. In all this revelatory exploration, are we not akin to children who, donning their parents' wardrobe, play out their roles they perceive they will need to know as adults? A child believes they are getting it right in just acting as if they are parents, just by wearing mother's apron or father's oversized trousers. They dramatize what they have seen dad and mom act out in the drama of real life, not knowing all that goes on behind the scenes of what they witness. But someday they will. There is real value in this play acting, regardless of how well or how poorly they get it right. Play acting gives a rough feel for some of life's milestones. Studying Revelation benchmarks our true progress. The local universe depicted in thumbnail sketch, nevertheless, in richer detail than ever realized before, enables us to realize in ever-increasing breadth and depth the nature of the life we are now living. How? By enlarging our narrow perspective and giving us the advantage of a more elevated perch from which to experience a broadening horizon before us, showing us where we really are on our first life's journey. Having fully apprised us of our destiny in the latter steps and stages of life lived towards its fulfillment in part 1, the revelators draw back the curtain on the more immediate stages of life before us. In so doing, they enhance appreciation of depth of field in much the same way as viewing the sculptors hanging under George Washington's nose on Mount Rushmore or climbers on the face of El Capitan or the Grand Canyon offer true appreciation of scale. Imagine that around the time of the inditing of these papers, our grasp of what a universe was expanding immensely, even exponentially in size and scope. The size of the universe had rocketed to millions of light years, thousands of times more than the size of a local universe. A Michael's son with his creative spirit partner embarks on the adventure of creating a local universe from what humans might call nothing. From our father's perspective, it must be like offering modeling clay to one's child, or a block of marble to Michelangelo Buonarroti. Michael begins imposing his vision of his universe upon it by creating his headquarters over 1 million to 1 billion years and remaining there as a focus of gravity until enough of his universe is materialized out of the primordial force and emergent energy of space that it finally counterbalances itself. He is ably assisted in this materialization by the creative spirit, the son's creative partner, the source of all mind in their universe, and the necessary anti-gravity complement of his gravity focus. But not all at once. Is there any doubt that a Michael and the creative mother spirit could do so if they so chose? They are embarking on growing a universe from the foundations of their creatively inspired thoughts on a dynamic bedrock of love for the creation they are conceiving and incepting. Perhaps they are so limited in time and space by the Father, Son, and Spirit, but it does seem more likely that they are self-limited, limited by their own appreciation of loyalty to the evolutionary idea, loyalty to the Supreme Being, the finite God, at once the soil and sun of the evolutionary project of their parents, all leading to one of many major accomplishments. Let us make mortal man in our own image. And what is the nature of that project which they and the evolving finite God, the growing God, have proposed? It is a program whereby creation, beings and their worlds, unfold at a rate determined by the creators of that life to allow beings and the creation that they live in to affect each other's growth. And here's the fascinating part. Even to allow all these beings to participate in their own growth every step of the way. We are each to be, in partnership with God, the actual and literal co-creator of our better self to come. Whereas Havona and Paradise beings are who they are by virtue of the wills of the persons of the Paradise Trinity, that same Trinity has decreed that while we are to be created in their image, men and women shall start out as babes and participate every step of the way in learning who they are and deciding who it is they are becoming day by day. And to one extent or another, all beings having origin in the local universe have some measure of that prerogative. That is the essence of the ascension scheme. Paradoxically, by increasingly aligning with the Father's will for us, we become more truly who we are. We become closer and closer in nature and character to the true spirits we are ultimately destined to become. The beautiful and magnificent ascendant journey revealed within the pages of the Urantia book will be more fully, thoroughly treated in the Topical on the Mortal Ascension Scheme by Elizabeth Callahan in week 3 of the course. Returning to Michael and the creative spirit, they jointly create the first being in the local universe, the height, depth, and breadth of which is the greatest being they could possibly create. Gabriel of Salvington, the bright and morning star. A being entirely like themselves, except in creator prerogatives. He assists his divine parents and embraces the divine will of the Son, combined with the creative imagination of the Spirit. He is provided with a vast army of administrative assistants created for their special work, who are unrevealed to evolutionary mortals. It is easy to suspect that their work is so unimaginable to us that it would only result in confusion until we learned all about them. And if not before, we surely will by the time of our landing on the shores of the Melchizedek University. In imagining the kinds of beings in our local universe conservatively, we ought to imagine that much less than 1/7 of the kinds of beings have been revealed or disclosed to us. They have not even revealed all the beings germane to our mortal ascension career, let alone all the other enterprises which do not even impinge on our lives at all. It is completely beyond our capacity to think creatively enough as to just how many beings and diverse orders of beings are necessary to do all the manifold works that it takes to make a universe and to keep it as a going concern. Ironically, it is the atheist who supposes that religionists are caught up in worlds of fanciful thinking over heaven. Rather, we are given a clear picture by the end of Part 2 that no things or events on earth can happen without the prior events in heaven, and much work by many far above our station to make them occur. Yes, the universe does seem to operate of its own accord, but that is anything but the case. For a principle of the design which originates on high seems to be seamless function that betrays none of the creative effort it took to have beautiful, sustaining, valuable reality available for use on the level of primitive humankind, who could never have sustained themselves and otherwise prosecuted their lives independently and successfully. Our Creator Son and Creative Spirit have incepted and maintained a grand and glorious family, but one of untold responsibilities and endless watch care, we're told. This statement speaks volumes as to the nature of running a universe that would be friendly. Despite some appearances on our world, the universe is friendly. It is friendly because it is intended to be, created to be that way, maintained to grow to be so increasingly, and destined to please even the Father of Fathers in its ultimate outworking. Therefore, from the moment each group of beings is brought into existence, that order of personality is lovingly educated to the fullness of the necessity to do so, and brought into its place of joyful, if at times challenging service. While the space stage may at first seem empty, a blank canvas, truly none of this creation occurs in a vacuum. The space stage chosen by the Creator Son for his local universe is prepared by the agents of the architects of the Master Universe, and then super-universe personnel who make sure that energy has emerged sufficiently and the requisite materialization has taken place. Of the nearly 1 trillion years involved in our stellar neighborhood's emergence from space potency, our Creator Son has been working on his local universe just the latter 400 billion years, already 30 times longer than the Big Bang, for just the last 40% of that time. And while he is God to this universe, he functioned under many restrictive mandates that curtailed his ability to arbitrarily interfere with the outworking of his few subordinate children who decided to run certain realms within that universe in unruly ways.